I literally couldn't make this stuff up. In fact, if I did make this stuff up, I'd probably get into some serious trouble. But this is a short video of the Metropolitan Police showing their ignorance as to what a proscribed, that's proscribed with an O, a banned and illegal terrorist organisation. They are there policing the vigil of the deceased leader of said terrorist organisation. And if I could just ask you please to subscribe to my channel, because still around 60% of you don't do that. That does help my channel grow. When I ask you, thousands of people subscribe, and when I don't, virtually no one subscribes. That would really help me grow, so thank you for doing that. Let me show you this video, and then I'm going to talk to you about the terrorism offences. Not to say that they've committed acts of terrorism here. I'll just explain what those offences are. But first of all, take a listen to this.
What does it all about, by the way?
It's a vigil.
For?
For
the death of the leader of Lebanon.
Right. Leader of Lebanon or leader of Hezbollah?
Hezbollah, that's it.
That's the one. I'm not
Hezbollah.
Sorry, I don't take a lot of political interest because I'm not allowed to. But yeah, Hezbollah.
So they were mourning leader of terrorist organization.
Your opinion is up to you.
Well, Hezbollah is legally a terrorist organization.
Again, so your opinion is your opinion.
No, it's not my opinion. It's opinion of the government.
Okay, well, we're not allowed to take opinions.
Yeah.
Sorry?
We're not allowed
We
to
don't take opinions.
It's not an opinion.
We're just here.
It's not an opinion.
That's your opinion, that it's not
a legal fact.
Okay?
And that was the real killer for me when she said, your opinion, that's your opinion, which is not an opinion. Well, has he rightly, the person filming this rightly said, it's not his opinion, it is a literal fact. Because if we pop over to gov.uk, there is a list of some 81 or so proscribed terrorist organizations, one of which is Hezbollah. And so as this post here on X said, this video shows what happened when someone tried to inform the police that Hezbollah is a terrorist organization. How is the Metropolitan Police supposed to protect us when they don't educate their officers on the law? And that's a very fair point. On the face of it, these officers have absolutely no idea that they are at a meeting which can be very broadly described as support for this terrorist organization, because it's a vigil for the death of one of the leaders. Now, make no mistake, the reason for this video is to warn everybody that wherever your political persuasions lie, there are various offences with which you might get yourself caught up in under the Terrorism Act. Now, quite obviously, if you know that an organisation is a proscribed and illegal terrorist organisation, you would also know that it is an offence under the Terrorism Act to belong to or profess to belong to a proscribed organisation. That's under Section 11 of the Terrorism Act. Inviting support for a proscribed organisation, expressing an opinion or belief in the support of such an organisation, or reckless as to whether a person to whom the expression is directed at will be encouraged to support a proscribed organisation. And we're getting very close here with these officers' involvement. I'm not saying they have committed these offences, but we are getting very close here to what these definitions really mean. Also, arranging or managing or assisting in arranging or managing a meeting in the knowledge that the meeting is in support of furthering the activities of a proscribed organisation. Now, these officers did say they don't take an interest in politics. Now, that might be forgiven if they were not police officers, but they are, so they should at least know what these organisations are so they know how to police against them. But once they did know, they were informed by a member of the public, they just immediately just denied that that was relevant. They said, that's your opinion, and we can't take your opinion. Your opinion's not an opinion. We don't take opinions. And they just took the whole thing as an opinion and completely irrelevant, completely denying the fact that this was absolutely true, because the government website itself designates this as a proscribed terrorist organisation. Now, under the Terrorism Act, obviously under Section 1, this covers the act that fall within it, so this is in relation to actual acts of terrorism. But when we look at Section 12, we look at support. Now, a person commits an offence if they invite support of such an organisation. Under 1A, a person commits an offence if the person expresses an opinion or belief that's supportive of the organisation, and in doing so is reckless as to whether a person whom the expression is directed at will be encouraged to support such an organisation. Under Section 2, a person commits an offence if he arranges, manages, or assists in arranging or managing a meeting which he knows is to support a proscribed organisation or furthering the activities of the proscribed organisation, or to be addressed by a person who belongs or professes to belong to a proscribed organisation. Under 12.3, a person commits an offence if he addresses a meeting and the purpose of this address is to encourage support for a proscribed organisation or to further its activities. And so we really are getting into some very broad definitions here, which is anything that really is to support the organisation or further the activities and so on. So whilst this was a vigil of sorts, it's still a very broad public meeting which very broadly is supportive of this organisation. And under sub 5, a meeting means a meeting of 3 or more persons, whether or not the public are admitted. If it's in private, that's for one of these offences here, and that is if the public are not admitted. But very broadly speaking, it's still a meeting even if the public are admitted. So a very public meeting in support of this organisation is a meeting for the purposes of Section 12. Now again, these officers appeared, on the face of it, with respect, pretty clueless as to what this organisation was, which in one sense means that they were not knowingly doing anything to assist in the managing or whatever of this meeting, but at the same time they really ought to have known what this organisation was and that they shouldn't have been assisting in any way with it, even in terms of policing it and so on. Really, they ought to have been dispersing it or calling for others to assist in dispersing it, because in one way or another this meeting can be described as supporting a proscribed organisation. And if there was ever any ambiguity as to what the Met Police should really know about all of this, that is clarified by the Met Police on their own social media posts, which includes both Hamas and Hezbollah and describes both as proscribed organisations, meaning that they are banned in the UK. The Met Police social media post itself says, "We've seen examples of people at protests showing support for such organisations. Some of these cases have already resulted in convictions at court. The law is very clear. Anyone displaying symbols, wording, or otherwise indicating their support for a proscribed organisation risks arrest. The same is true for anyone who appears to be endorsing, celebrating, or justifying the actions of those organisations." Now, I really don't mean to be disrespectful to these two officers. Clearly, they openly admitted that they didn't really have any idea what they were talking about. They didn't take any interest in politics. But with the greatest respect, they shouldn't be at these events if they've got absolutely no clue what they are and what they're doing there. Otherwise, how are they going to properly police these events? Because as I say, any meeting like this, very broadly, whether or not the public are in attendance, whether it is a public meeting or a private meeting, if it is providing any kind of support to these organisations, again, regardless of what your political persuasions are, they are proscribed organisations. This kind of activity might well amount to terrorism offences and you might risk arrest. So overall, education is key. So if you're a member of the public and you didn't quite understand this, hopefully that is a little bit clearer, even if it wasn't clear to these officers at that time. I'm sure they will be after this video has now gone a little viral. So do be careful. Don't get yourself involved in these things because you do risk involvement in terrorism offences, you risk arrest, and of course you risk being charged with criminal offences. So I hope you found that useful, interesting. Please do remember to like the video and subscribe. And as always, thank you for watching.